Thor and the Midgard Serpent, a Norse myth of fated rivals. In Norse mythology, Thor, the god of thunder, was one of the mightiest gods. His enemies were numerous, but none as fearsome or as fated as the Midgard Serpent, Jormungandr. This enormous serpent, the child of the trickster god Loki, was so large that it encircled the entire world, biting its own tail and living beneath the ocean. It was prophesied that during Ragnarok, the end of days, Thor and Jormungandr would face each other in a final, deadly battle, but long before Ragnarok, the two crossed paths. One of the most famous encounters between Thor and Jormungandr began innocently enough, a fishing trip. Thor, in disguise as a young man, journeyed with the giant Hymir, who had agreed to take him out to sea. Hymir was reluctant, however, and nervous about venturing too far into the ocean, where the Midgard Serpent was said to lurk. Thor, eager for a challenge, insisted that they go into the deepest waters. As they sailed further into the sea, Hymir began to grow anxious. But Thor, undeterred, prepared a fishing line, much larger than an ordinary one, of course. Instead of using regular bait, Thor used the head of a large ox, knowing it would be tempting to the massive serpent below. When they reached the deep waters, Thor cast the line into the ocean. They waited in tense silence, the waves lapping against the boat. Suddenly, the boat rocked violently. Thor felt a tremendous tug on the line. It was the Midgard Serpent. Thor gripped the fishing line tightly, and a fierce struggle began. The battle between Thor and Jormungandr was titanic. As Thor pulled with all his godly might, the serpent resisted, thrashing beneath the water and causing the sea to churn and roar. Thor's strength was unmatched, and with a mighty pull, he began to drag the Midgard Serpent out of the ocean's depths. As the serpent's enormous head broke the surface of the water, Thor prepared to strike. He lifted Mjolnir, his magical hammer, ready to deliver a killing blow to his ancient foe. But just as Thor was about to strike, Hymir panicked. Fearing the wrath of the serpent and the chaos that might follow, the giant cut the fishing line, and Jormungandr slithered back into the depths of the ocean, disappearing into the dark waters. Thor was furious with Hymir for costing him his victory, but the battle was over. He had come face to face with his destined rival but had been denied the chance to kill the serpent. At least for now, this encounter was only a prelude to their final battle. It was foretold that at Ragnarok, Thor and the Midgard Serpent would meet once again. On that day, Thor would slay Jormungandr, but the serpent's deadly poison would spell Thor's own doom. Both would perish, fulfilling the prophecy of their inevitable fate. This myth of Thor and the Midgard Serpent is not just a story of a battle between a god and a monster. It symbolizes the eternal struggle between order and chaos, fate, and the inevitability of death, even for the gods. And though Thor triumphed temporarily, their final clash would be one of mutual destruction, marking the end of an era.